This lesson is on personal growth and behaviors, studying, and test taking.
There are many benefits to being a JROTC cadet. One you may not have considered is that you'll learn good study habits and study skills. In this lesson, you'll learn how to take notes, read textbooks, and take tests. A solid study program will help you stay organized, use your time efficiently, and improve your grades.
This lesson's essential question is, what study skills and test taking strategies can you use to improve your academic success? I would like you to think about that as we go through this lesson.
I'd like you to start off by thinking about how you study.
We will prepare for this lesson by discussing the key questions of the student learning plan. What will you accomplish in this lesson? Develop study skills and test taking strategies. Why is this lesson important? In this lesson, you'll learn good study habits and study skills. You'll learn how to take notes and read textbooks and take tests. A solid study program will help you stay organized, use time efficiently, and improve your grades.
The learning objectives for this lesson are: describe effective study habits, demonstrate effective textbook reading strategies, analyze effective note-taking strategies, explain the different strategies for test-taking preparation and test-taking. Define keywords. Abbreviations, a shortened form of a written word or phrase used in place of the whole word. Association, the act of connecting or relating ideas or facts to other things such as images, stories, words, music, etc. Critical thinking, a deeper way of thinking that rigorously analyzes an idea or subject. Efficiently, actions that are performed in the best possible manner with the least waste of time and effort. Note hand, something written down using abbreviations or symbols. Objective questions, questions that test your ability to recall, compare, or contrast information and to choose the right answer among several choices given a short written answer. Preview, to skim a textbook or other learning material in order to get the general idea of the content. Qualifier, a word or word group that limits or modifies the meaning of another word or phrase. Retention, the ability to keep something such as what you've learned in your head. Review, renewed study of material previously studied. Subjective questions, questions that ask you to use critical thinking strategies to answer the questions and then organize, write, and revise a written response. Test anxiety, excessive worry about doing well on a test. I'd like you to think about what it means to have good study habits. Some students seem to study well without trying, while others are cramming for a test or doing homework at the last minute. The difference between the two types of students is simple. The students who study easily have developed good study habits. Study habits are behaviors you use each day to reinforce what you want to learn. Study habits train your brain to embrace a routine that will help you improve your grades. Furthermore, effective studying is a guarantee of good grades in school. Good study habits include when to study, conditions for studying, and class time habits. Managing your time is one of the most important study habits. One tool for managing your time is a study schedule. A study schedule saves time and energy and keeps you from forgetting important things. Here are a few things you can do to get the best out of your study time. Make a weekly schedule. Block in all the time that is committed, such as in-class hours, meetings, meals, regular chores at home, and work. Try to estimate how much time you need each week to study for each subject and schedule those times. Use weekends for working on longer projects. Try to keep one afternoon open for work you can't finish on the weekend. Take short breaks during long study sessions. Don't get stuck on one subject by spending too much time on it. Limit study time to approximately 1 hour per subject and only 20 to 30 minutes on memorizing. Keep your study schedule up to date. Change it as needed. Check off items as you've completed them. It will give you a sense of accomplishment. You probably already know that it's hard to study when you are tired and distracted. No one studies well under those conditions. When you sit down to study, make sure you set yourself up for success. Avoid distractions during your scheduled study time, such as computer games and text messaging, unless you're using it as part of a study group. and other electronic distractions not being used directly to study. Hang a Do Not Disturb sign on your door. Get enough recreation, exercise, food, and sleep. This will help you get good results from studying. Begin with the most boring or hardest subject and work towards the easiest or one that is the most interesting. Start large projects early. Time-consuming projects are easier to start working on in smaller chunks as soon as possible. If possible, study at the same place and time every night. This will condition your mind to get into study mode. Choose a time and a place where you won't be interrupted. Using a computer could make your papers more readable and easier to do. Word processing programs, such as Pages, will run spelling and grammar checks on your work for you, though they will not catch all errors. Attending classes takes a large part of your day. Your habits in class matter. What you do in class can make studying easier or harder. Here is how to get the most out of the time that you spend in class. Always be on time for your class and be prepared. Do your homework and review your notes before class to prepare to ask questions. Prepare for discussion courses before the class. Ask your questions about the last assignment before the teacher starts a new class. Pay attention, listen actively and effectively. Take notes. Be sure you understand the homework assignments before leaving class. Have you ever learned something that just came naturally to you, like playing sports, singing, or writing? Some people are just born with talents that make certain things easier for them to learn. However, many things you'll need to learn in school you'll have to study. Studying involves a set of skills just like athletics or playing a musical instrument. The more you practice the study skills, the easier your study will be. When you have good study skills, you can understand what you read, think critically and objectively, take effective notes in class, memorize, and use reference materials. First question, true or false? To get the most out of your study time, you should take short breaks from long study sessions. True or false?
Correct answer is A, true.
These are the study skills that I will cover in this lesson. Methods for reading textbooks, note-taking skills and strategies, how to memorize, and using libraries and the internet. How do you read a textbook? Do you read it from the first page to the last page of each chapter? That method works well for novels, but when you read a textbook, you need a different approach. You've probably noticed that the content in textbooks is structured in a certain way. Because of this structure, you can use specific strategies to read textbooks. Note that these strategies work well with texts that provide a lot of information and require you to learn the material in depth. They are less effective with math or English textbooks. Look at the 3 different strategies for reading textbooks designed to help you improve your comprehension and retention. As you hear about them, think about what they have in common. In the PQRST method, you'll follow 5 steps: preview, question, read, state, and test. The first and last steps apply to each chapter or lesson. The middle 3 steps apply to every section within a chapter or lesson. Many textbooks are compiled in a way that makes this method easy to apply. First, preview the entire chapter or lesson. Skim through it to see what is coming later. One way to do this is to read the chapter or lesson introduction, look at the headings, and read the section introductions, and then read a summary at the end of the chapter or lesson. Question. As you read each section, ask yourself what you need to learn in this section. Start by looking for a list of questions that may be found at the end of a chapter, lesson, or reading assignment. Write down the questions while reading and studying them when preparing for a test. The more you try to find the answers to good, intelligent questions while studying, the more you'll improve your critical thinking skills. The questions help you concentrate by focusing attention on main points. As you become successful in making up questions while studying, you will notice that the more and more of the questions appear on the tests and exams. You will become familiar with test-taking habits of individual instructors. It will become easy to spot more and more of their test questions. The key to effective reading is reaction. That is, employing critical thinking skills about what you've read. Now you can actually read that section in detail. This would be a good time to underline or highlight key words and thoughts. This is also a good time to take notes and apply one of the two note-taking methods covered. Read the whole section first and then summarize it later. State. Once you have finished reading, say aloud what you've read. It's important to do this recalling verbally. Speak the words aloud or quietly. The only way that you can tell whether you have a topic clearly enough in your mind is to put it into words. This step helps you comprehend and be able to put to use what you've studied. If you can't explain it, you don't know it. Test. After you've finished studying the chapter, lesson, or major section, it's time to test yourself and review all the material. If you took notes, review them. Test how much you remember. If you are weak in some areas, reread the sections that you need to learn. Even though you have only just read the chapter or lesson, now is the best time to test yourself. Research shows that frequent testing improves comprehension and retention. SQ3R is similar to PQRST. The steps for SQ3R include survey. Before you read a chapter, do a quick reading to get an overview. Look at the headings, chapters, and setup of material. Question. Establish the purpose for reading. Ask yourself, why am I reading this? What am I looking for? When your mind is actively searching for answers to questions, it becomes engaged in learning. Read. A slow, thorough reading aimed at understanding the content will help you find the answers to the questions you first raised. Recite. Reciting material as you go, exercising your oral ability to learn, retrains your mind to concentrate and learn as it reads. Paraphrase what you have read into your own words. Review. Reviewing is an ongoing process. Check the accuracy of your recall with the text you have read. OK4R stands for Overview, Key Ideas, Read, Recall, Reflect, and Review. The steps for this strategy include Overview. Read the title, the introductory and summarizing paragraphs, and all the headings included in the reading material. Key Ideas. Go back and skim the text for key ideas, usually found in the first sentence of each paragraph. Also read the italics and bold type bulleted sections, itemizations, pictures, and tables. Read. Read assignments from beginning to end. Recall. Put aside the text and use a few key words or sentences to say or write the major points of what you have read. Reflect. The previous step helps you fix the material in your mind. To keep it there, relate it to other knowledge. Review. This step is not done until just before the next quiz or test. Alright, let's check your learning. In the PQRST method, you blank before you read a textbook chapter or section. Is it skim the chapter and prepare to take notes? Skim the chapter and read the questions at the end of the chapter? Carefully read the chapter summary and take notes? Or rest and test?
The correct answer is B. Skim the chapter and read the questions at the end of the chapter.
The question part of the PQRST method means you should think, is it this lesson is about, this paragraph says, I'll need to learn, or get the idea of?
The correct answer is C. I'll need to learn.
Think about how you manage your time for studying.
We will now complete exercise 1, my weekly schedule. From the dashboard in our cadet portfolio, we're going to select applying study skills. Then we're going to scroll down and select exercise 1, my weekly schedule. Directions. Use the calendar below to plan a study schedule for yourself. Show the times you have commitments such as attending class, doing chores, eating, and any other activities in which you participate. So as you can see here, there's a bunch of time set aside for sleeping and then time set aside for school. Okay. What I'd like you to do is go through first, mark off all the time that you already have commitments, and then see what time you have left, and then set up time for you to study. Then answer these questions. Do you have enough time to study? If not, what do you need to remove from your schedule? Do you think you waste time? Explain your answer. How much free time do you need for relaxing, connecting with friends and families, hobbies, and other fun activities? Once you've answered those questions and completed your schedule, go ahead and mark as complete. Scroll back up to the top and select Save.
Think about note-taking and other study skills. Next, we're going to talk about some study skills. We're going to talk about note-taking skills and strategies, how to memorize, and using libraries and the internet. Start by assuming a position of mental and physical alertness. Prepare your mind and body. A good sitting posture and a mind that is alert and involved will help you avoid the temptation to wander into other thoughts or doodle in class. There are other things to do in preparation for good note-taking. For example, stay focused on what you're learning. Don't doodle or let your mind wander. Develop a personal note hand. This is not the same as shorthand. Note hand is something written down using abbreviations and symbols. It's your own personal set of symbols for words. A plus sign for add, a check mark that means check for, the letter C with a line over it for with. You can think of many others, especially if you use abbreviations and symbols when sending text messages. With Note Hand, you can take down only important things faster and better. Have plenty of notebook paper and a sharp pencil or working pen. If you have to stop to borrow supplies, you lose time and could miss something important. Listen for clues about important points. Instructors often give a main point special emphasis. If an instructor uses words like the main causes are or a point to remember is, you should take notes. Here are some other words or phrases to watch out for. To sum up, remember, in conclusion, memorize, in summary, you should know, this is important. Don't try to write down everything, only the main ideas. 1 page of good notes is worth 10 pages of trivia. Keep your notes legible and organized. You may need to go back to your notes weeks after you've written them. Take notes in your words, not the instructor's. To do this, you must think, organize your ideas, and find your own words. If you don't understand the information well enough to express it in your own words, put a question mark in the margin and ask the instructor after class to explain it. Leave a blank line or two as you write. That gives you room to add thought, keywords, phrases, questions, or ideas that are missed. Fill in the gaps later. As soon as possible after taking the notes, make time to read them over. Not studying them, just reading them. Check now while it's still fresh to see if anything important was left out or is incorrect. And make the changes. In the left-hand column, set down cue words near the topics in the notes. These cue words should not repeat information, but should designate or label the kind of information you find within the notes. Now that we have covered how and what you should look for when taking notes, let's look at methods for organizing your notes. The Cornell note-taking system is a widely used note-taking method. The system was developed by Dr. Walter Pock of Cornell University, New York, in the 1950s. The Cornell method is used in high schools, law schools, and university, providing an excellent system of organizing and reviewing your notes and increasing comprehension and critical thinking skills. The Cornell method is designed to save time, yet is highly effective when done correctly. This method uses 5 steps for taking, condensing, and organizing notes. Step 1. Preparation. Using a sheet of notebook paper, you will divide the sheet into 3 sections shown here. First, draw a horizontal line about 2 to 3 inches above the bottom across the entire sheet of paper. Second, draw a vertical line a ½ inch from the left side of the sheet. Across the top of the sheet, write down the information such as the class name, date, and period. Step 2. Capture your notes. Use the large box on the right side of the sheet to record your notes. Try to use Note Hand when taking your notes. Remember, do not try to write down every word spoken. Make the notes brief. Put most notes in your own words. Skip lines to show the end of ideas and thoughts. Make sure you can read your own writing. Use graphic organizers such as thinking maps or pictures when helpful. Step 3. Refine or reduce your notes. Use the narrow vertical box on the left-hand side of the sheet of paper. Make sure you do this as soon as possible after the class ends. Use this section to write down the following: questions about what you recorded, categories for the topics covered, vocabulary words, review or test alerts, topics the instructor focused on, reminders such as checking dates, quotes, and key points or people. Step 4. Recite the notes to yourself. Cover the large box on the right side of the paper. Now using the ideas, vocabulary words, and alerts you have recorded on the left column, try to recall or recite the notes you have taken in the box on the right side of the sheet. Then, by uncovering your notes on the right side, verify that you have what you have recited. This helps transfer the information and ideas into your long-term memory. Step 5. Summarize or reflect on what you've learned. In the horizontal box at the bottom of the page, write down important points of the lesson, or just summarize your notes. The summary is not a word-for-word rewriting of the notes, but is a reflection on the notes taken in your own words. If the course is one in which a presentation or lecture and the text are closely related, use the 2-3-3-2 technique. Start with a piece of 8.5 by 11-inch loose leaf paper. Keep notes for each class on a single side of each page in a separate notebook or section in a notebook. Put the topic heading on each page, then draw lines to separate columns or create borders, as shown here. 2-inch column down the left-hand side for recall clues, a 3-inch column in the middle for lecture notes, a 3-inch column on the right side for text notes, and a 2-inch space across the bottom of the page for observations and conclusions. If it's a course where the presentation or lecture and the reading are not closely related, use a separate page for class notes and reading notes following the 2-5-1 technique as shown here. Make columns of 2 inches at the left for clues, 5 in the middle for notes, and 1 inch on the right for observations. After a while, drawing the actual lines will not be necessary. In the center section or sections, take your regular notes in the form you've learned previously. You've learned about thinking maps in an earlier lesson. Thinking maps help organize and improve critical thinking so that you can construct new knowledge. Use thinking maps when you study and take notes. It will help you see the new ideas you are learning about. Notehand is an effective note-taking skill because you write blank. Is it only important ideas and write faster? Is it every word in your personal shorthand? Only the topic headings from your textbook? Or an outline that is easy to read?
Correct answer is A, only important ideas, and write faster.
Reciting your notes to yourself is important because it blank. Is it helps you make sure your sentences make sense? Ensures that your notes are legible? Proves that you are paying attention in class? Or helps transfer the information in your notes to your memory?
Correct answer is D, helps transfer the information in your notes into your memory.
The 2-3-3-2 and 2-5-1 note-taking techniques are best used when blank. Is it the textbook and class lecture are closely related? The class does not use a textbook? Or the class lecture and textbook are closely related?
The correct answer is C, the class lecture and textbooks are closely related. We are now going to complete exercise 2, Cornell Note-Taking System. From our cadet portfolio dashboard, we're going to select Applying Study Skills. And then we're going to scroll down and select Exercise 2, the Cornell Note-Taking System. Once we open that, review the section in your textbook on the Cornell Note-Taking System. In the example below, identify the different sections and describe how to take notes using the Cornell Note-Taking System. Okay, so if you remember in the video earlier, you can rewind if necessary. What goes here, here, you're going to fill it in, here, 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 and then describe the fourth step of the system. Again, it's in your student reading. Also, it was previously covered in the video. Once you're done, mark as complete and select Save.
When an assignment calls for memorizing, try this method. Memorize actively, not passively. Use as many senses as possible. Try to visualize in concrete terms and get a picture in your mind. Also, use sound, say words out loud, and listen to the words being said. Use associations, relate the facts you want to learn to something personally significant, or find a logical tie-in. Repeat important dates and facts, and write them down. Each repetition makes it easier to recall information. Write words, phrases, or formulas to memorize on individual 3 by 5-inch cards. And on the reverse side of each card, write the answer, meaning, etc. Study the cards until you know the material without hesitation. Other methods for helping to remember things include acronyms. Just like you use PQRST to remember preview, question, read, state, and test, you can use the first letters of any group of words to help your memory. Sentences/acrostics use the first letter of each word you are trying to remember to make a new sentence with words beginning with those letters. For example, to remember the order of operations in math, multiply, divide, add, and subtract, use My Dear Aunt Sally. Rhymes and songs. Rhythm, repetition, melody, and rhyme can all aid memory. Change the lyrics of your favorite song to what you need to remember. Method of loci. This technique organizes what you need to remember by using visual cues and associations. Identify a common path that you walk, one that you have vivid visual memory of. Then imagine walking the path. For each landmark you pass, you associate the fact or idea you want to remember. As you mentally walk the path, the landmarks become associated with the facts or ideas. Learning to use the public or school library can make studying more interesting and effective. Most libraries have a reference section that has dictionaries, encyclopedias, atlases, and guides to magazines and newspaper articles. Short biographies of well-known people, medical and scientific dictionaries, bibliographies, that is a list of books on various subjects, and yearbooks are also found in the reference section. Libraries have become more technology-oriented, so that when you are not studying, they are great places to browse. Computers help make searches for material much easier. You can also find such things as videotapes, records, microfilms, maps, film strips, and other visual materials that are helpful learning aids. Don't hesitate to ask the librarian for assistance. The librarian can help you locate material and make suggestions on other things you might not know. By using search sites on the internet, you can find a great deal of information. However, be very careful about who, where, and how this information was provided. Recognize that most websites have no screening process or review of the material to ensure the accuracy of the information. Information that is presented as fact may be just one person's point of view. This is also true of many books, so consider the source of what you read.
Next, we're going to complete exercise 3, memory test to practice your memory skills. In our portfolio from the dashboard, we're going to select Applying Studying Skills. We're going to scroll down and select Exercise 3, Memory Test. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. For 4 minutes, we're going to pick one of these groups of words. We're going to study them, or random numbers. We're going to study them for 4 minutes. Then we're going to close this screen and see how many we can remember. You can repeat this as necessary. Once you're done, make sure that you mark as complete, go to the top, and hit save.
I'd like you to think about some test-taking skills. The best preparation for examination is to keep up with assignments and study regularly. If the test is objective, short answers, pay attention to details while you study. A more subjective essay test might emphasize relationships among different topics of the course material. You should pay attention to these relationships from your notes. Above all, don't cram. That is, try to learn everything at one time the night before. It is very ineffective. Other things going on around you that cause you to lose sleep or place disorganization into your daily living habits may produce feelings of nervousness, tiredness, and confusion. These may tempt you to cram for your exams. However, cramming at its worst can cause you to lose the facts that you so frantically accumulated in a short time. It is good to be concerned about taking a test, but it is not good to get test anxiety, which can mean a disaster. Being nervous can cause you to forget material and lower your grade. When you are tense and anxious, you drain energy away from your test performance. Tell yourself that you will do well. Repeat positive statements to yourself such as, I can keep my cool because I studied. I'll put that information together in inspiring new ways that help me shine. Tests are challenges, but I can do it. I can keep calm and think logically. I planned my work so I didn't have to cram. I'll stay calm and let my memory work. I think extremely well during tests. Before a test, review your notes one more time in order to organize your thoughts. This is not only a way to reinforce your notes, it's a good way to commit the material to your long-term memory. Once you sit down to take the exam, read the directions carefully when the instructor hands out the test. If you don't understand the directions, ask the instructor to explain them. You can take 2 important and effective steps to improve your grade. First, survey the exam for 30 seconds to determine the number of questions, the difficulty of the questions, and the grade value given to each question. If the number of right answers determines the score, guess at the questions you do not know. Don't guess, however, if the wrong answer will be subtracted from the right answers. In this case, guessing will hurt your final score. Skip difficult questions and come back to them later. Don't waste time worrying about them. If you have time at the end of the exam, return to the unanswered questions. Mark the questions you skipped so you can find them easily. When your exam is returned, don't just look at your grade and the comments. Study in detail the questions missed and analyze the wrong answers. This will help you prepare more effectively for the next exam and improve your study habits. Getting very nervous and anxious before a test, usually blank. Is it has no impact on your test results? Makes you do better on the test because it forces you to study harder? Or drains your energy from your body and mind, making it harder to do well on a test?
The correct answer is C. Drains energy from the body and mind, making it harder to do well on a test.
True or false? When you take a test, you should skip difficult questions and come back to them later. True or false?
The correct answer is A. True.
Think about how to answer different question types on a test. Multiple choice questions. If using a bubble sheet to record your answers, be sure your responses are numbered in the order of the questions, and be sure to fill in the bubbles completely. Always cover up possible responses with a piece of paper or your hand while reading the question. Have an answer in your head before looking at the possible answers. Read all the choices before choosing your answer. Don't keep changing your answer. Your first choice is usually the correct one. In a question with an all of the above choice, if you see at least 2 correct answers, then all of the above is probably the answer. Check to see if any other question has the answer to your question or a clue to the correct response. Responses that use absolute words, such as always or never, are less likely to be correct. Fill in the blank questions. Don't leave blanks unless there is a penalty for wrong answers. An answer thought to be wrong may be acceptable. Look for grammatical clues within the question to help you determine the correct answer. Binary choice questions. Typical answer choices for this question format are true and false, yes or no, and agree or disagree. Qualifiers like never, always, none, and only usually indicate a false statement. They require the question statement to be 100% correct to be true. Qualifiers like sometimes, often, generally, and frequently usually indicate a true statement. Matching questions. Answer the easy ones first to reduce the number of choices. Mark only one answer for each term. Reading comprehension questions. In reading comprehension questions, you read a short paragraph and answer the questions about it. Questions can relate to the reading's main theme. Questions may also ask for general or specific information about the reading material. You will find it helpful to read the questions before you read the text. Essay questions. Read all the questions first and use the margin for noting phrases that relate to the answers. These phrases will help you write the essay answer. Note the meaning of key words such as these. Analyze, to examine critically to show essential features. Compare, to show the difference or similarities between two or more things. Contrast, show the differences when compared. Define, to give a clear, not detailed but precise meaning. Elaborate, to develop a theme or idea in greater detail. Evaluate, to appraise carefully, giving both a positive and negative aspects. Explain, to clarify or interpret the details of a problem, theory, etc. Illustrate, to explain or clarify by giving an example. List, set down under each other a series of facts, dates, words, names, etc. Outline, to organize facts by arranging them in a series of headings and subheadings to show relationships. Continuing on with essay questions, organize the answer. Do not write haphazardly about the first idea that comes to mind. Write legibly. Writing what an instructor can't read may cause the instructor to mark the answer wrong. Read and check what you wrote before you turn it in. Be sure to answer the questions that were asked. Think about creating a plan to improve your study skills and test-taking skills.
Next, we're going to complete exercise 4, test taking tips. From the dashboard of our cadet portfolio, we're going to select again applying and studying skills. We're going to select exercise 4, test taking tips. Once we open it, directions, complete the chart below using your own words. Don't list every tip from the book. List only the tips that you currently don't practice or those that you think you'll have a hard time remembering. Again, you can go back to the video. What were some of the tips for fill in the blank? Binary choice, what were the tips? You're going to put them in here. Matching, what were the tips? You're going to put them in here. Essay, what were the tips? You're going to put them in here. Multiple choice, same thing, what were the tips? And reading comprehension, what were the tips? Again, you don't have to put all of them. Once you're done, mark as complete, scroll back up to the top, and select Save.
True or false? On fill-in-the-blank questions, you should only leave the answer blank if you don't know the answer. Is it true or false?
The correct answer is B, false.
Alright, now we're going to get into some vocabulary. Blank are shortened forms of written words or phrases used in the place of the whole word. Is it acronyms, acrostics, note-hand, or abbreviations?
The correct answer is D, abbreviations.
The act of connecting or relating ideas or facts to other things, such as images, stories, words, music, etc., is blank. Is it comprehension, association, retention, or concentration?
The correct answer is B, association.
A deeper way of thinking that rigorously analyzes an idea or subject is called blank. Is it review, association thinking, objective thinking, or critical thinking?
The correct answer is D, critical thinking.
Blank describes actions that are performed in the best possible manner with the least waste of time and effort. Is it objectively, critically, efficiently, or subjectively?
The correct answer is C, efficiently.
Something written down using abbreviations or symbols is called blank. Is it shorthand, doodles, cursive, or note-hand?
The correct answer is D, note hand.
Blank tests your ability to recall, compare, or contrast information and to choose the right answer among several choices or give a short written answer. Is it objective questions, subjective questions, reviews, or previews?
Correct answer is A, objective questions.
The definition of blank is to skim a textbook or other learning material in order to get a general idea about the content. Is it review, preview, method of loci, or binary?
The correct answer is B, preview.
A blank is a word or word group that limits or modifies the meaning of another word or phrase. Is it converter, transformer, qualifier, or exception?
Correct answer is C, qualifier. Next, we will complete the studying and test-taking performance assessment task. Once again, from the dashboard of our cadet portfolio, we're going to select Applying Study Skills, and then we're going to select the performance assessment task. For the performance assessment task, you'll apply at least one study skill and one test-taking strategy to your course over the next 2 to 3 weeks period of time. You should choose a subject where you know that you'll have a test in the next few weeks. For this assessment, you will keep a journal or chart each day's activities. Your journal should include the following information: date, course name, current grade in the course, study skill or weakness area, study skill you plan to use, daily effective study habits, day-to-day update on skills used and why, test-taking strategy implemented and why, your test or quiz grades. Again, review exercise 1 to make sure that your schedule is on track. Again, you can either do this one of two ways. You can create a Word document or a Google Doc, and you can place that link here, or you can attach a file, whichever way, or you can keep your notes, you can keep it in here in your notes. Once you have completed that, you're going to select Met down through these. You're going to mark as complete. Make sure you put the date in. Scroll back up to the top and hit Save.
This brings us back to our essential question: what study skills and test-taking strategies can you use to improve your academic success? Hopefully I've given you a few. Remember to divide your study time, keep calm and cool, and think positively. Becoming a good student does not happen automatically or overnight. It requires time and patience. Studying is a process that is learned through trial and error. You have to discover a study strategy that works for you and adapt it to different learning situations. Most importantly, make studying a priority. By understanding test-taking techniques, keeping a positive attitude, overcoming your fears, and following the tips for answering different question formats found in this lesson, you will improve your test-taking ability. This concludes the lesson. Have a great week.